Hi everyone, Alystar here. Today I'm going to be demonstrating how to make an Elsa doll cake. So let's get started. This is the buttercream which is made ready for the Elsa cake. So there's buttercream and blue coloring, food coloring. Cutting the muffin tops of our cake to begin the layering of the Barbie cake.
So we are going to prepare an Elsa cake, and this is the doll, the Elsa doll, around which we will decorate the cake. So for this cake I baked 3 cakes out of a batter which I normally use for 2 kg cake, and this is in sizes so that we get the complete skirt, and this is going to be used to layer in between to get a good size of cake. And now I'm going to cut out the layers and then make them moist. The cake right now is very dry, so I'm going to cut each of these cakes around the sides and then get the layer. Okay, so I've made a slight slit all along the sides, and now I will just pass this thread through that slit and pull from the opposite side in opposite direction. So here, like that. So this makes my job easier, and I have proper layers without much of crumbling. So now let me do that. For this I'm going to invert the top part of the skirt and do the same thing, slit all around the side. Now take it crisscross and pull. So I've got this. Okay, so why I do this is to make layers on which I can hydrate it a little more by using sugar syrup. Otherwise the cake will be very dry. Also, layering the cake makes it not only moist but even more tasty, because between the layers we'll be using buttercream. So now the same process over again, slit, pull, and we're done. Okay, so now I've got all my pieces. I'm going to pour a little bit of the sugar syrup which I've already made and kept in a bottle, and sprinkle it and just pour it over. Okay, this is not good. So what I do is the sugar quantity, I reduce it a little while I'm making the batter so that it doesn't become too sweet, and then I give a generous pour of the sugar syrup to give it a moistness. Yeah, so this should do. And this should do. Now I have to get the cake neatly layered, and between the layers I'm going to put some buttercream. Okay, so I'm saving I have colored buttercream made for the skirt, but I'm saving that for later for the use of the skirt. Here between the layers I'll just put some regular white buttercream. Let's smoothen it because we don't want too much of buttercream either. Just a thin layer. This gives a good taste to the cake and also holds the layers firmly. Yeah. So now let's do this. The first layer, and now I'm going to put this one. And here there is a little gap, but I'm not going to worry about that too much because while I'm pouring the cream, I can just fill that up. I can fill up the gaps. Okay, like this. I won't get into the detail too much right now because we have plenty of time to do that. I'll just get the rough structure now. I think this size should be pretty good. This should be okay. So let me take it off and start it over. Yeah. Just press it down in like so. Now this next layer, again the size is a little off here. It's a little wider at this point, and we need a well tapered skirt. So I will do that. I will work on that after I finish creating the structure. Okay. This part is going to be a little messy, and well, the mess goes on until we've finished with the cake fully. Yeah. Okay. So now I've got the rough structure here. I'm going to trim the cake now. So I'll remove the extra cake and the crumbs. Right, so now I'm going to trim the cake. Okay. Once I trim it, I'll decide which is the best part to use for the front, and then with the part which is not so good, I'll use for the back of the skirt. So I want to make my work stress-free, so I'll just work on this part fast. And whenever we're making shape cakes or doll cakes, Barbie cakes, it's better to prepare the cake, prepare cakes of 2 kgs, a minimum of 2 kgs, because a lot of it goes in wastage. And finally I think we just about get 1¼ kg of cake, which is eatable. But if we don't do that, we'll fall short of, not only will we fall short of cake, the shape will suffer, because we may end up compromising on the shape. Yeah, I'm almost through with this, and like I said, every side of the cake will not be perfect while you're making it, but that doesn't matter, because we can always have fixes. We do things to fix it. You can see a lot of it is coming off, and I'm creating pits here while I'm working, but all that can be dealt with. Yeah, I think I'm okay with this. So I'm going to transfer it to a turntable, because I need to constantly move it to decorate the cake. Now I need to insert the doll into the cake center, so I'll need to make a hole right through this. Let me put this away. Yeah. So I'm going to make a kind of a slot, which is not perfectly round, but a little oval. It'll be a bigger on the top surface, because it has to hold the white part of the doll, and then the inside I'm going to slide my knife in at an angle, so like this. I'll do this. Yeah, I'm going to scoop off bits of the cake from inside, like so. This should be good enough. As you can see, I have made the hole right through, so that I can slide the doll in. And for the doll, most videos would have seen that they strip the doll off the clothes and then do the buttercream clothing too. But I prefer to have the doll with its clothes on, and so that the child can immediately start playing with the doll once the cake is cut, and it's less messy. So I have also wrapped the lower part of the dress with cellophane, 2 layers of cellophane, so that the dress is untouched and doesn't get dirty. Yeah. So now I shall slide this right in. Okay, so here I'm slowly putting the doll in. Yeah, she's right inside. And also I have pinned up the ribbon, so that it doesn't get messed. Yeah. Now I'm just pouring the buttercream all over. I'll smoothen it later. I'm just putting a rough coat of this. I'm almost through with the first layer of icing. That is the crumb coat. This is the crumb coat of the skirt. And after this, I'm going to put it in the fridge, let it set for a bit, and then come and do the next layer. Yeah, now that my crumb coat is done, I am going to keep this in the fridge, for which I will transfer the cake to the board. Okay, so I'll carefully take it off and raise it gently and place it in. Wow. Okay, I think it's done. this has sat in the fridge for a while, and the crumb coat is pretty dry. See, it's like clear. So now is the time for us to start doing the next layer. So in this, for this dress, I'll just be doing a second layer of this part, because on the other side I'm going to be giving the frills, and it doesn't need to have a finer finish. All this doesn't need to have, this part doesn't need to have a finer finish because it will be covered. So just the part that is going to be exposed over here, this front portion, I'm going to do a finer finish. So let me start with, for the ruffles, I'll be using this tip over here. I really don't know what it's called. It's a flat one with some edges. Okay, so let me just mark the portion. Let me just mark the portion which I want exposed. Now I have a wooden skewer with which I am going to mark out the exposed portion. Let me turn it towards myself so I can see properly. So this is how I'm going to start the ruffles here. And for the moment I'm going to smoothen this part. Okay, in this container I have hot water and my icing knives. Okay, so I'll give a layer of this. So I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Yeah, and I'll fill it up in the center too. Okay. I'm trying to make it look seamless. I'm starting from the back so that I can get to adjust my movements. So now I'm going to give the ruffles.